I'm so grateful for another day to help stimulate the mental. Time to strategize, huddle up, where's your circle? I can feel the movement radiate through the convo. Talk is cheap, turn your faith into work. I drink my second cup and put my hands in the dirt. 2 cups, drinking straight drip from the earth. Caffeinated conversations, you heard them here first. One for the wake up. One for the wake up. 2 for the work. Caffeinated conversations, you heard them here first. Welcome back to 2 Cups Cafe, where I'm your host, Alan C. Jackson. Who I have joining me today for a high-quality caffeinated conversation is LaPala Crawford from Primate Visions. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you, sir, for having me. Appreciate you.
I really appreciate you accepting my invitation to come on, man. A filmmaker like yourself, man, if you can just give me just a little background on yourself for my listeners and my viewers.
Okay, everyone. My name is LaPala Crawford, also known as LaPala Lee Crawford, also known as Mr. Director, LLC. I've been doing film since 2008.
Okay.
Actually started out writing when I was younger. As a kid, always loved writing, loved movies, loved everything have to do with film. I was getting the behind the scenes and watching those on the DVDs and the VHSs and all that kind of stuff. But 2008 came around, got my first camera, started filming. Been hit the ground running ever since. Went to school for it for a while.
Okay.
Started out at Full Sail, then ended up going to LA Film School, and just learned the technical side of things.
Okay.
To complement the talent.
Yeah.
And the vision that I had for it.
So your interest at first, like you say, you used to write. Was it the writing that gave you the bug to want to see your stories come to life, or was it the film part?
It was the writing.
Okay.
So when I was in high school, this is my freshman year in high school, I've always written short stories, poems, songs, started out doing music young. But in my freshman year in high school, I wrote my first full script that I wrote. It was called Holla at Me.
Okay.
Now, mind you, this is young 13, 14-year-old me. So it was called Holla at Me. So, and I grew up on Oakwood, which is known as Cokewood for most. So that was a lot of gangs and that,
a lot of
and violence. It was a lot of stuff going on in that area. But so it was a hood. It was a hood movie. It's a hood it can be. I'm young, so that's what I wrote. What got me into actually wanting to do more with it was I was in my art class, and these 2 cats that were the bullies in the classroom, they used to pick with everybody. Yeah. They saw me writing, and I was minding my business because I could draw as well. So they was like, everybody used to live it. What is he drawing now? Yeah. But no, they're like, he ain't drawing nothing. He writing. What you writing? Give me this. So they start reading it, and like that whole day, the 2 of them read the whole script. And then they told everybody else in the classroom about it. So now everybody else in the classroom wanted to read it. So everybody took turns reading it in the classroom. And what tripped me out is, as they was reading it, which I didn't realize until one day they came in, everybody was picking which character they was.
Oh, man.
And when they came to class one day, they were acting out the scenes. So, of course, it would cause a little disruption in the classroom because there was 2 rival sets.
Okay. So they was going all the way with the script.
They was going in. They was going in, and the art teacher took it. He read it. He told my mom, "Was like, he's talented. This is a great story, but he can't do it in my classroom no more." So ever since then, once I saw how my stories impacted people and influenced people, I was hooked.
Wow. So did you have anybody when you were before that point to kind of feed your creativity? Like you said, your mom or family member that kind of gave you that push, or is it something you was kind of just doing on your own and it just kind of blossomed just from there?
My mom has always been supportive in the way she knew how.
Okay.
So my mom was very spiritual. I grew up in the church and everything. So anything I did, she's like, hey, make sure you put God first.
Okay.
And God will guide you directly. But at the same time, it's like, hey, but I need you to be on the usher board. I need you to be. So I was the kid in church that was put to work.
Okay.
But my mom said, hey, if You sure you want to do this?
Mhm.
I ain't gonna waste no money. But it all started from music, though.
Okay. What instrument do you play?
I play the piano.
Okay.
I play by ear. I joke around and tell people when I pretty much just hit the keys until I hear something I like, and then I go from there.
Okay.
But I started out with music. My grandmother used to sing in church. Excellent singer. My uncle, he wasn't in church, but he could sing.
Yeah.
He'd be in the basement at my grandparents' house doing hair, and you hear him singing old school music, hear him singing. So I was always surrounded and influenced by music in that way. But as far as the support, everybody say, yeah, he talented, he gonna do something. But I was like, you go ahead and go do you. We be here.
Right.
Because, I was a kid. I liked to play outside, but I grew up like an only child because there's a 12-year age difference between me and my older brother.
Okay. I understand.
So by the time I got old enough to build a bond with him, he's on his way out. So my imagination was all over the place. So I'm acting out movies and stuff that I like, but then I started writing poems and songs. So I had teachers that would have me write short stories or poems, then put in the little school papers. I was at First Church of God up into the 5th grade. Then in 6th grade, I went to Lincoln.
Okay.
Because my mom was like, well, you're going to public school when you get to junior high, and then you're going to high school. You're going to public school. I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, I need to be in public school and get ready now. I can't come in 7th grade and ain't. But it all started with writing songs and poems and stuff first.
Okay.
Then I start getting more into doing music. So the support was always, I'll get you anything you need. She helped me get a keyboard, so I practice at home. I used to do the Macumber shows when they used to have the fashion and talent shows at the Macumber building.
Yeah.
I used to be in those performing or doing the music for the artists that performed in the intermission for the fashion stuff.
Yeah.
So it all started with that. My mom's support was, I'll get you there.
Right.
But you got to get away home.
Now, I know all too well about that, man.
So that's where the support came from. But I wanted it. So I wanted it that bad. So then I got really pushed to where I was like, I'm going to do music. That's going to make my money to help me make movies.
Okay.
So that was the game plan.
That was the plan.
That was the plan from there.
So we come from a city that's not known for, I guess you could say the film, although I know the university, I took some film and video classes there like early in the 2000s, but did you ever get that bug or that thought that I have to leave here and move somewhere else to be successful? Because I know you wind up shooting movies right here in our hometown, and it's like that was like inspiring for me to see somebody say, well, I could do something where I am.
I did. Originally, I wanted to move to Florida.
Okay.
Because that's where Full Sail University was, which is a film school.
Okay.
Excellent film school. But they have an online course. You can take it online. At that time, when I was looking into it, they didn't have the online course, so you had to actually go to Florida. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to film school. For me, I did have a period to where me staying here became I'm not going to do it because despite everyone. So I had a teacher, Mr. Crumby. He was one of the music teachers at Scott High School.
Okay.
He took over after Mr. Dixon passed. He was Mr. Dixon that does the choir, not the band director, Mr. Dixon. This was Mr. Dixon that used to direct the choir for Scott. Because I was a part of the choir, the boys' ensemble, singing and doing the music and stuff for that. But Mr. Crumby, he took over after Mr. Dixon left, and he got me an audition at UT to try to get to the music program. They said they loved my audition. He's like, you did great. The only problem is you can't read. You got to be able to read music, and you're not classically trained enough to be able to get the scholarship to come here. Okay. So I was like, well, I can't. If I don't get a scholarship, I can't go to school because my mom can't afford it. And I don't know how I'm going to come up with the money on my own. Right. Then a couple of years later, I'm doing music independently, working with a friend of mine named Charlie Numbers. He's a known DJ. Yeah. We was doing music, started a record label, actually started 2 record labels.
And what was the first, what were they called again?
The first record label was called Dotted Line.
Okay.
That was fresh out of high school.
Okay.
We did that. And then later on, with those partners, everyone went their separate ways because we had difference of opinions on how we would run it.
Okay.
So we started another one later on called One Mechanism.
One Mechanism, okay.
But working in music and doing all that, I was like, well, I'm gonna go to film school. I'm gonna go to Full Sail for film and music so I can learn how to do that. And I was getting ready to move to Florida. And then that's when my first son was born.
Okay.
So I was like, I can't move nowhere. I got to stay here.
Yeah.
And then by that time, technology started catching up
to
where you didn't have to leave
and learn.
Okay. And so the notion of if I don't have to leave and learn, why do I have to leave to be successful?
Okay.
I mean, I can live here and travel wherever I need to go. Because the one thing that I realized was Toledo is a little big city. The thing that I think a lot of people miss out on is that we're so centralized to where you have a lot of people from all over that come to Toledo. So why do we feel we have to leave Toledo to do big things?
Right.
So you have people from Chicago, from Detroit, from LA, from Cleveland, Columbus. And I'm like, okay, so I can be here, and if I need to travel, I can travel.
Yeah, definitely.
But my home base is here.
Definitely. So. And I know we could get into talking a little. I don't want to go too fast about your movie that's currently out now. But so what was the progression from? I know you said you did your first. You did a short first. Like,
yeah,
how was
short
the
film
progression? Like,
so the first film I did was called Dare.
Okay.
It's a short film, but I broke it up into 5 parts. So it's 5 separate. Like if you were to go on the YouTube, you will find 5 different like episodes. But it's all, once you put it all together, it's one cohesive short.
Okay.
But I started out doing shorts first. Then when I wanted to get into doing feature films, I started writing shorts that would lead into the feature films.
Okay.
So my first feature film was called Love or Nothing at All.
Okay.
And premiered it at the Mommy Indoor Theater, all local Toledo actors. That was my first full feature, the whole 9 with the Crow crew. Because with Dare, it was just me, my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, and one other gentleman, Kevin Jackson, who was a photographer, does wedding photography, but he had a camera that was the same as mine. So he was my second camera, and he brought his lights and helped me with the lighting. And I joke and tell people that when I look back at the growth from Dare to my stuff now, I'm like, yeah. Because I love Dare, I love the story, but I have to be realistic and be honest and say, "Woo, boy, was I green?" I didn't. It was.
I think that's the beauty of it, though. Probably you, even with music and a lot of things, like you can look at your growth and appreciate where you started to where you are now, because it's kind of almost like a artistic diary, almost like, oh man, I can see like a journal, like
exactly.
Like, man,
yes,
you remember where you were at, but then you still remember. Like, I feel like no matter how primitive it was, and to where you look at it, but how you felt when you made it, though, at that time, I know it had to be. Like, I remember I recorded my first song, man. I thought, man, it was the best. That feeling I had, like, was the best feeling ever, man.
Yeah, I honestly, once we wrapped on Dare, it was one of the most terrifying, freeing feelings ever. Because initially it was, okay, finish the movie. Right. Now what?
Now what?
Oh, what am I do now? Just edit it and take it step by step. But the release was, okay, you finished your first project. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I just had to attack it like I would do music. With music, we would have the artists we would work with. They would be writing on their songs, and while they recording one thing, I may be over here with the headphones on and
Mm-hmm. Just tweaking stuff out. Yeah.
working on stuff. And so, same thing. Just write, put it together, and make it happen. Take it one step at a time.
So how'd you source your actors for your early work?
The first one was just ask people I knew. Hey, you want to be in a movie? I'm doing a movie.
Okay.
I ain't never acted before. Well, I ain't never directed before. Come on,
Come on.
come on. But there was a basic audition process.
Okay.
So with Dare, it was the by mouth.
Okay.
Like, hey, I'm doing a movie. I have my brother, Jason McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
He stars in it. He was one of the, and funny thing is, Jason's pretty much been in almost everything I've done since
Okay.
then, with the exception of a few things. Michael Smith, I think he's a sergeant with the police department now.
Okay.
But he started out with us. He was the leading male character in Dare.
Okay.
And this is gonna tie in later, but it's the irony of it is that his wife that he's with now,
Mm-hmm.
they met in my film
On the
Dare.
set.
They met on set
Oh,
with
man.
Dare,
Okay.
and they've been together ever since.
Oh, that's wild.
So I've worked with some decent people, but after that, that's when I got into learning the audition process.
Okay.
It was like, okay,
Did you have anybody, any seasoned film people like mentor you at that time, or it's kind of like you still were like motivated to learn?
self-motivated.
Okay.
And that's where the growth of technology came into play,
Okay.
because it started out with just getting books,
Mm.
going to the library, going to Barnes and Noble, and just getting books on writing, because that's the first thing I did, got books on writing.
Okay.
Um,
So you had to go through the whole screenwriting process
Mhm.
even before you can get to the storyboarding and all that. Huh?
right.
Okay.
So, and I didn't even know about storyboarding when I did Dare.
Okay.
It was just how to write the script and how to hold the camera.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
didn't really know much about angles, didn't even, other than what I saw in movies. So at the time, I used to be like, okay, well, for a more dramatic scene, I know you have to get the wide and you have to get the POV
Okay.
over their shoulder and over
Mhm.
their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the three I knew for a fact I had to get.
Okay.
Everything else was just, I saw this in the movie once. Let me try it.
Right.
So Dare was the experiment.
Okay.
So, but as I got more into it, Google became a
Mhm.
champion. I was YouTube
Yeah.
tutorials champion. There's a couple other books that I used to get that would talk about actually directing and filming and things like that. And that tied in with just diving in there and just doing it.
Yeah. So in school, were you like a good student? Because man, you talking about that gotta be some discipline to sit and learn and go through this process like on your own. I mean,
I was a good student with bad habits.
okay.
So my issue was I totally rebelled against the idea of homework. Them are two words that just did not go well.
Nah,
with me.
I was about the same way. I ain't like homework either.
That's like, because if I can do it all in school, why do I have to take it home? It's like, well, you get graded on your homework. I did it already, but you
Mhm.
didn't take it home. But I did it already.
Right.
Well, you ain't do your classwork. Yes, I did. And then it was just a whole big mess. My mom used to get on me. Like, it was to the point where in elementary, my mom pretty much, this was during a time where you could still get paddled in school.
Yeah, I remember that.
And my mom told
I
him one
came
time.
right on the tail end of that.
This is when my mom told the principal at First Church of God. She told her, it's like, however many homework assignments he missed, that's how many paddles he get.
Mm.
And then you call me and let me know, and he gonna catch it again when he get home.
It's old
So-
school right there.
So, but teacher used to always tell my mom, like, his only issue is that he doesn't really want to do his homework.
Mm.
He does his classwork. He aces his tests.
Right.
but he's just not doing his homework, and that's a big part of his grade.
Right.
So I had to get over those bad habits.
And the irony of it, you wound up doing all homework, learning.
Right.
learning
It's the funny thing. But if it was something I liked,
Mm-hmm.
I was on it.
Okay.
I didn't care what nobody said. That's what I was on. Like my the choir, I used to skip class just to go hang out in the choir room.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm in the choir room, this is during high school, I would be doing my homework in the choir room because I'm not supposed to be there.
Right.
But nobody's gonna bother me while I'm in there.
Okay.
So I would do my homework there and just put it in my locker. And it wasn't that I wasn't doing the homework. It was just that it'd be in my locker, and the next day I'd be done forgot about it.
Mm.
And by the time I remember it, it's already late. So I'm losing points anyway.
Mhm,
So I was a good student. I could get the grades but I had bad habits. But as I got older, once again, because I loved music and writing and film so much, I was tuned in because I adapted the idea of everybody always talks about you should have a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what your dream is, you should have a plan B.
Right.
Well, before I started getting confirmation as I got older about what that really means,
Mm-hmm.
I had the idea then that you have a plan A. Even your plan B should be put in process to feed into your plan A.
Okay.
It shouldn't be, this is what I want to do as a plan A, but if this doesn't work, I can fall back on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you already got that idea of failure.
Failure, right.
Already pre-programmed in your mind. So everything you do is like, okay, I'm working towards plan A. I'm working for plan A. But you do other stuff to make sure, okay, in case plan A don't work, I got to do this to make sure plan B is ready in case plan A don't work.
Mm-hmm.
But you're taking away from plan A to make sure you got a safety net under you.
Right. So you started running your plans parallel, kind of.
Parallel, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So how to better explain it is Charlie Numbers, he told me one time, and I never get it because people used to ask, like, how can you DJ and work here and work at the Greyhound and do all this and still travel the way you do? He's like, because the Greyhound is my second job.
Mm.
DJing and doing the music, that's always my first job.
Right.
So once I come into this job, everything I do, even with talking to the managers and the supervisors, they know from jump, hey, this is my second job. So when I have to travel for my first job, hey, I need this time off because I'm going to be going with my first job. And people will only take you as serious as you take yourself.
100%. I believe that 100%.
So if you're saying, like right now, the job I work, I love it. It has the best work-life balance that I've ever had at any job.
Okay.
Because I work 2 days on, 2 days off, and I have every other weekend. So I can plan everything I want to do around my days off.
Okay.
And it's not like some jobs where you work 6 days in a row,
Nice.
10, 12 hours.
Right, exactly.
But I'm guaranteed to have at least 2 days in a row off, or at least every other weekend, 3 days in a row off.
Okay.
So I can plan everything around that. So if I need to film on a weekend, I know this is my off weekend, or I'll use my vacation if it runs into a work day.
Okay.
But it's all put in position to feed into my plan A.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while for me. I had that mentality, but I didn't know how to implement it.
Right.
But as I grew and got more into it, I learned how to implement that. Because then, of course, growing up, you have life. You got to get a job. You got to pay your bills. You got to take care of it. It's like, okay, I get that. And I think this is where, as parents, and once I became a parent, I understood it more. But even our parents, you used to think that my mom's a hater. She hating. I was like, well, make sure you're going to work, son. Make sure you're doing this. Because they come from a time you go to work. If you don't go to work, you don't eat.
Yeah, you pay that bill.
Well, it's 100 million, it's 100 people out here trying to do what you do. And how you going to do that coming out of Toledo? But you know what? Do you? But make sure you go to work.
Right.
I was like, okay, hater. I love you, but hater. But it became an understanding to where now I see where they're coming from, because they came from an age to where being a movie star, being a director, being in music, that's all was the exception to the rule.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was never considered a primary way of that's a fantasy. That the party life. You just want the party life. You just want the fame
you want
of
to be
it.
famous, right?
and it's not about the fame.
Mm-hmm.
The fame comes with it, but that's not why I do it.
Yeah, young people these days, they'll never understand because they grew up with content, content creators, everybody got a phone with cameras. We grew up like different. Like it was some effort to get a camera. It was some effort to set up
To
some
get
lights
seen.
and, it was effort to get, like you said, to be seen at all. But so our parents, our generation, our parents, they try to instill in us like what actual work was, like a job or like I tell the story all the time. Like I used to play the trumpet. I stayed with my grandparents. I came home one day. My trumpet was gone. He's like, that horn don't pay no bills. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, it was a definite line between what was considered work and what was considered just a hobby or extracurricular or a dream. You know what I mean? So I definitely, I could appreciate that thought about, your parent, you looking at your parent like, you just don't, you kind of a hater or you don't believe in me, but they was trying to make sure that we was going to be able to take care of ourselves.
Right. It's exactly. And the work that it goes into it, a lot of them don't, like you mentioned about like content creators and everything. The work that goes into being a content creator, that's a job within itself.
Exactly. Yep.
It's a job when you can't just, hey guys, this is such and such, and I'm on. It's like, yeah, that's it. But the ones that truly put in work, they coming up with ideas and skits and what they put thought and work into
their
it.
Day out, where they gonna go, and even with the like my wife, she watched sometimes some creators she watched, they do like hauls, or buying stuff, but they still have to plan that out. Like,
right,
I'm gonna go here, get this, do that, and they have to budget. They have to try to get sponsorships
because it's a business. It's a business, and knowing that it's a business, even when we were coming up and doing music and getting into film, at the time I was, I always understood that it was a business because, like I said, growing up, I used to watch the behind the scenes stuff of everything.
Right.
Like I may go see a movie, but as soon as it comes out on VHS or DVD, I used to see like if you let it play long on the VHS, long enough after credits, they'll have a quick behind the scenes that'll play with.
Okay.
Then when DVDs came around, they had DVDs that had whole deleted scenes in those behind the scenes chapters. So I was watching the behind the scenes stuff just to know, like, okay, that's how they did that. Well, we get the end result, but it's the behind the scenes that also made me fall in love with it because to see how you have all these different pieces moving,
right,
just to get that 2-hour feel that you get, it's amazing to me.
So how were you when you first started shooting? How are you with managing your sets, like your actors and your talent and your day? You're shooting your day.
First time starting out, it was chaotic.
Okay.
The reason why it was chaotic is because even though I had help, I was the one everyone was going to get the answers of what they needed.
Okay.
And mind you, this is my first time, so I'm still don't really know. So I'm having to come up with solutions and answers on the fly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, once I figured out, I had people that was like, all right, let's move. So, for example, my wife, she would read the script while we were doing it. So if the lines was off, because sometimes I couldn't catch it because I'm working the camera.
Right.
So I'm making sure the camera's good and the sound is good. And she's like, okay, when I call cut, she's like, they didn't say that line right, or that wasn't the line. Okay. So I have to go back. All right, review. All right, I need you. Then I would go to the actors like, well, let's try this way and this way. Then you may have some actors like, well, I think we could try it this way. I want to try this. This might be funny or this might be good. Okay. Let's do it the way I want to do it first. And if we have time, we'll throw yours in there.
Okay.
But we have to at least get what was written first.
Okay.
Like, it's a running joke with every project that I have done. They tease me about it all the time. When they go off script, they'll see me. Sometimes they'll see me in the background, and I'll be looking through the script like,
like, where you get that from? Right?
That ain't it. Okay, it works, but that ain't it. That ain't in the script. But you got to leave room for that, because sometimes those moments where they feel something
Yeah.
are the best moments to capture.
Okay.
And so as far as managing the set, everything moves with a rhythm.
Mm.
So if you can get the actors in a rhythm,
Yeah.
and where they feeding off each other and they're vibing and they're truly into the characters, it makes everything else behind the cameras work smoother.
Okay.
So if they moving together, you ain't got to worry about them. So now I can actually move with them with the camera. And if I have the lighting set up, it makes them look even better.
Mm.
Then if whoever's in the background and the crew, you need that lieutenant. Like if I'm the general, I need that lieutenant that where I'm focusing, they keeping everybody else in the back quiet, because sound quality. If you are into film, make sure your sound quality is right. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, sound is, my guy Daryl, man, he tell me sound is like, that's the foundation of everything. No matter what it look like, if it don't sound right, like nobody gonna want to
It'll
pay
take you
attention
out
to
of it.
Yeah.
It'll take you out of it. Boy, I know I made my mistakes with sound.
Okay.
I didn't understand the value of having a separate audio source compared to using in-camera sound.
Okay.
I didn't know any better.
Right.
I learned, because when you go to edit,
you're like, this don't sound right.
That don't sound right.
Yeah.
But then I got to okay, camera one, where's that loud noise coming from? So I got to go try to find camera two and see where the sound matches up. But camera two, it sounds better, but it only sounds better on that actor. But I need this actor. So now I got to figure out how to make the sound quality matches between the two cameras. Nope, not going through that no more. I learned my lesson. But yeah, it's just a balance.
And like you said, like technology too, because when you first started out, camera equipment was crazy pricey. We had I remember my first quality of camera was a 3CCD cam with the little tape that went into it, and I thought I had the best camera ever.
You's a better man than me. My first camera was a little Sony camcorder.
Okay.
I'm talking about the little one with the so you open it beeps. $500. And that's my wife, when we first started dating, she read one of my scripts. I was still doing music heavy. And because she would be with Charlie Numbers with his wife.
Yeah.
They were friends. So that's how we met. So she would be over there. I'll be with Charlie Numbers. We doing music. They'll be doing their thing. And we got to talking and got to know each other. And then I let her read one of my scripts. And she was like, 2 things. Number 1, this script right here, you can't touch it till you have the money to do it the way it needs to be done. To this day, I have not touched that script ever since. Second thing, if you have so many scripts, because I had like 14 scripts that just stacks of notebooks.
Man, okay.
And she's like, why don't you make a movie? I was like, because I'm going to use the music, make my money off the music, and that's going to pay for the movie. She's like, okay, I like that idea, but why ain't you making a movie? So I don't have a camera. Well, did you ask? Ask who? You got siblings?
Right.
So I have siblings on my dad's side. Like, did you ask your siblings to help out? Did you ask your mom? Did you ask anybody else? I was like,
she was teaching you about crowdfunding.
Yeah, she was. But what she was doing was eliminating excuses. So I went on a limb and I asked my sister, on my dad's side, Anita, and she was like, okay. I was like, oh.
Right, he's like, oh, that's that easy. Huh?
She gave me the money, and that was the first camera I got. And so learning, like you said, the difference in technology from there, because it was the first digital camera I ever had.
Okay.
And so there wasn't no memory card or nothing. It was just plug it in, film, plug the camera into the computer, and pull the footage off. And the Kevin Jackson guy mentioned he had a similar camera.
Okay.
Camcorder. So same thing. So it's just, now you have memory cards, then you have the more advanced cameras, the hard drives, external, 8 terabyte, 16 terabyte is.
I remember trying to render like something that was probably like 10 minutes on Final Cut back in the day up at the university. Man, I was in the film class. I couldn't get my project done because I had to go to work because you just sitting there and just be render. Took hours to render something that might be on like 10 minutes.
But it also the advancement of technology now. The brains in these computers are faster. The CPUs and everything are faster and stronger, so they can handle that much information.
Yeah.
So now now rendering is still a process, but it's not as labor extensive as it used to be. So you just have to stay with it. You got to be patient. Anything you love doing, you got to be patient because it's going to be a process for if you're going to get quality out of it.
Right. So how did you escape the mindset of what a success was? Because I know, like with anything, like with sports or music or film or acting, like the level of success somebody thinks is like, NBA or NFL or Oscar or Grammy. So how did you come up with the definition of what success was for you going through your processes?
The main thing that I had to come to understand was success is not a singular goal. Success is layers. There's steps to it. Recently, Denzel talked about don't confuse motion with progress.
Okay.
Because you can be standing in place. You're moving, but you ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Well, you can stomp all your feet and jump up and down and do all that, but you're still in the same place. So you have motion, but you're not progressing. You're not moving forward.
Right.
So when it comes to success, the first success is we rapped. That was the first success.
Yeah.
That's the first step. Next success is each part that I edit. Okay, I got this scene edited. That's a success. Got this scene edited. That's a success. By the time I finish, I have the whole movie. That's another success in itself. Then, okay, what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to do a premiere. That's a success.
Okay, I got you.
Now, to fast forward and not to get too far, but my film that's on Tubi called Under, it came out a year and a half ago on Tubi.
Okay.
We filmed that movie in 2017.
Okay.
So that was a success then in 2017, but the years it took to where even to get it out where the world can see it fully.
Right.
That's a success.
Because I remember when the movie wrap, when you got it finished in 2017, the technology or the apps and things that we have available now or the distribution lanes, they didn't even exist for us back then, did they?
They did, but they were different.
Okay.
Because you got to realize they evolved just as much as we have to evolve. So even then, distribution lanes was there, but there was a formula that everybody was trying to follow to get to them.
Okay.
So at that time, the only way you could really get to distributors, like truly get to distributors, is to get into a film festival and possibly win one.
Okay.
So if you can get in a film festival and win one, oh, okay, they did something.
Now you can get distribution.
Now you can get distribution.
Okay.
Now here's the other piece of it. Not all distributors are good.
Okay.
Some of them was like, okay, we just need a catalog. So say you have a distributor or an aggregator who we buy up, we'll get 100 movies and we'll sell a package to these channels.
Okay.
And they'll sell this package. Okay, we'll give you these 10 movies, but the channel only wanted one specific movie. Well, to get that movie, you got to buy these 10. Your movie might be in that bundle of 10. But if your movie ain't that one movie they were looking for, ain't no telling when they gonna see it.
Okay.
But now, like you said, with the digital era and the things, now like programs like Film Hub, you can put it on directly. Amazon Prime Video, you can go to them directly and release it yourself.
Oh, wow, okay.
Set your prices and all that. So there's different avenues like that. Now there's a lot of online channels that you can go to directly
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, I got this movie. And there's still some that say you have to go through an aggregator or a distributor to be able to get it on our channel.
Okay.
Or if you're get it on YouTube or get it on social media and you're getting numbers, they'll come to you.
Mm.
Hey, we saw your movie on YouTube. We want to work with you. What you got brewing, what you got cooking.
Yeah.
Or we want to take this and put that on our channel.
License it or something like
Right.
that. Okay.
So it's evolved. So yes. And the reason why I say all that to go back to and say it was available for us. But if you wasn't active in that fully and wasn't aware,
Mm-hmm.
the gatekeepers
Yeah,
wasn't
still
going
didn't
to
know how to do it. Yeah.
Right. The gatekeepers won't tell you, but it's not that we weren't allowed to do it.
Mhm.
It's just we didn't know any better.
That's powerful. So a lot of things like that's wisdom for young people today. Like they think like automatically that they're not going to be allowed to do certain things, or I remember my brother-in-law, we were talking about something. I still think I was right. I forget what the exact thing was, but he's like, man, they're not gonna let me do that. And he was like, brother-in-law, ain't nobody gonna let you do nothing. But he was right. But in that particular instance, he was wrong. But he was right. I took that thought that he gave me with me from there. So like when you said like when you don't know any better, you can just discount yourself automatically. Like, well, they're not gonna let me, or I can, or I don't know the right people, or I don't have the right connections, or the right amount of money. So so that's just. So tell me a little bit about how you got the your movie Under onto Tubi.
With Under, I actually went through a gauntlet of emotions because I had 3 feature films done.
Okay.
There's Love or Nothing at All, which was my first feature film.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had Captive Audience, which is my first horror film. In between there, I did a web series called The Detective Chronicles.
Okay.
And that's available on YouTube under Primate Vision. So there's season 1 is Mr. Nice. Season 2 is Kissing Death.
Mm-hmm.
And season 3 is Final Breath. Captive Audience came in between season 1 and season 2. The lead characters that was in season 1 are the main characters in Captive Audience.
Okay, in the movie.
In the movie.
Okay.
So, and then season 2 and season 3 is the aftermath from Captive Audience.
Okay.
So, with Love or Nothing at All, which was a love story by the title, I was like, okay, I got these 3 movies. I got to do something.
Yeah.
I got to do something with it. I have Captive Audience and Love or Nothing at All was on DVD. So this was the time where you hustled DVDs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Under, I hadn't made DVDs for it. I just had finished it and was trying to figure out what I was going to do with it.
Okay.
So I was like, well, I'm going to put it on YouTube. Now, Love or Nothing at All was a victim of sound quality. It was way better than what I had done before, but it was still some things that I was like, okay, I dropped the ball on that.
Yeah.
Captive Audience, way better than Love or Nothing at All.
Okay.
But still, I'm my own worst enemy, so I'm seeing my mistakes
Right.
more than anybody. Everybody's like, we love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You still
Love
was
it.
like, still.
It's like, yeah. And then Under. So now I'm like, I got to do something with these. But then I'm start seeing the boom of Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit is killing it.
Mm.
This is before Fox bought Tubi. So
Okay.
it was nothing but independent.
Okay.
So I'm seeing Homestead. Okay, Homestead Studios. Dennis Reed is the owner of Homestead.
And they're from Detroit?
From Detroit.
Okay.
Darren Brown. He's a prominent director that was out of Detroit.
Okay.
Yes, he had a few films on there. And then I kept hearing, let me back up. I was aware of them, but didn't know anything about getting in contact with them.
Okay.
So I got a call from Big Trav.
Mm-hmm.
Big Trav in Hollywood, they had their show where they would go they were heavy in Detroit doing interviews of the cast.
Yeah.
So, and one of the movie premieres that happened, I guess a couple of actors that I've worked with that were in Under was in that movie.
Okay.
And they were getting interviewed. So Trav called me. He's like, "Hey, man, I did a couple interviews. Your name came up a couple of times.
Yeah.
Let's do an interview."
Okay.
I was like, "All right, cool." So we did a phone interview. Did a live like a Zoom interview.
Okay.
And we was chopping it up and everything. He's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "You know what, man? We want to. Detroit's booming right now, but we want to see Toledo win. We want to see Toledo get into throw their hat in. So I'm gonna get you connected with like Dennis Reed and Darren Brown, and you know this Plush." And they was running down the names.
Right.
I was like, I didn't even know they existed.
Okay.
I mean, I knew who they were as individuals, but I didn't know they had their own companies.
Okay.
As distributors. So I just went through. I made a list, and I just went through and submitted. To both. I submitted Love and Nothing at All, and I submitted Under.
Okay.
Captive Audience, I couldn't do anything with because I had submitted that into a film festival, and I couldn't do anything with it until I heard back from the film festival.
Okay.
But I submitted Under, and I submitted Love and Nothing at All. And Lisa Brown, she was the first to respond for Plush.
Okay.
And we started talking on the phone. We had a good conversation, our first talk. And she sent me a couple of emails and was like, "Well, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. You want this? It's a contract.
Yeah.
But I see you have Love and Nothing at All, and you have Under. Which one do you want to really put through?" I was like, I definitely want to put Under.
Okay.
So I'm thinking Under's the last feature, but it's my best foot forward because that's where I feel like did my best cinematography.
Okay.
Like, well, what about the Love and Nothing at All? Hold off on that. Because at that point, I was already weighing the scales on possibly reshooting Love or Nothing at All.
Okay.
So she's like, "All right, well, we're going to put Under out there." Then we went back, "Well, we need some cover art. The cover art you have is cool, but it's too many words." And saying, "You did a poster for like the movie premiere.
Right.
We need a regular movie poster to like for promotional stuff on social media and stuff like that." So she helped me get that together. And then she's like, "Well, I'll let you know when it launches on Tubi." I was like, "All right, cool." About a week later, I'm at work. And she sent me a message and it's like, "Hey, it should be live on sometime tonight or it's the first thing tomorrow."
Oh, man.
To keep an eye out. And I was like, "All right." So, bing, it's live. I was like, "Okay." And I just let everybody know from there. So it's just, so I was very grateful for Lisa in that respect.
It had to be a monumental moment, though.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a woosah moment. Because it was at a moment to where it came at a moment to where I was almost at a verge of giving up on doing film. Because I had we were working on my fourth film.
Okay.
Which is called Intervention. Which some things didn't go according to plan, so we never finished it.
Okay.
But a lot had happened in my personal life.
Okay.
As well as on set.
Yeah.
To where all that compounded to where it broke me. To where I was like, I'm done. I'm tired of dealing with all the mess. I'm tired of dealing with people. I'm tired of dealing with, I got my family. Like, in that process of filming, I had 2 family members die within weeks of each other. So I hadn't really had a chance to grieve.
Right.
Then I'm on set and I'm dealing with the chaos of the set, but still dealing with the family chaos.
Yeah.
And it just something broke within me. And after that, I was like, I can't take this. It's too much drama and all this. I can't take this. And that's when Under got put out. I was like, okay.
It kind of put some fuel back in your tank.
It was like, okay, even though I went through that, there are people who sees the vision of where I'm trying to go with it.
Yeah.
I can't give up. Because that was the other reason why I think that the break was there. Because I was taking the weight of everybody's success on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Meaning, if I don't make it, if I don't do nothing with this, I don't let everybody that believed in me and believed in the story, I let them down. So I had to get that weight off of me
Yeah.
to understand it. It's like, okay, yes, it's a group collective work, but their success isn't dictated by my success,
Right.
and vice versa. My
Mhm.
success isn't dictated by
On their
theirs,
success, right.
and I had to get out of that. And once I got that better understanding, I was in a way better place. And
So
like I
you
said,
said you was carrying the weight, like the responsibility, like I have to push this because this whole cast is dependent on me to present it to the world.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
so
lot.
and it was like, okay, I can't work with people that take this as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I got to work with people that's serious about doing this.
Yeah.
I can't cheapen my vision to make somebody else fit into it.
Mm.
It's funny because I did a short, and it was crazy how this conversation came about. I had an actor who was supposed to come be on set, but at the last minute, he had a family situation he had to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
So I called up another actor that I had met and said, "Hey, I got a small role. It's a non-speaking role. It's a quick scene. You just walk in, grab this guy, and take him in another room, and that's it.
Yeah.
Is this a paid project? No, it's not a paid project, but I will feed you and
Right.
all that. We feed our cast and everything. Well, no, I'm good because I'm a serious actor and I get paid and everything. And it seems like you would benefit more from me being in your movie than it would benefit me." I was like, then he asked, "Well, what's your plans for the?" He was like, "Well, you don't seem like you have a plan." I was like, "Well, just because I'm not telling you my plan
Right.
doesn't mean I don't have a plan. But I wish you the best.
Right.
Thank you, but I wish you the best, and I appreciate your consideration," and kept it moving.
Yeah.
But that was also me understanding not everybody sees your vision.
Right.
A lot of times, even when they come on and say, I'll be a part of it, they still have their own agenda that goes into it. And if they don't feel it fits their agenda,
Yeah.
I can't be mad at you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to, once you're aware of the nature of a thing, you have to let it be what it's going to be.
Exactly. No, I agree. I remember I used to like customizing like my cars back in the day, and somebody would always say, "Well, what you should do is this," or "If it was me, I would do this," or somebody always trying to take your material and make it to what they want to see, and you had to realize like, no, this belongs to me. I had to put out my vision for what I see, no matter if you think that it's not worthy or not. So that's like with this podcast, like when I first initially came up with the idea, it was like a mode of expression. And I sat down with Touchdown and they helped me kind of like plan out like how I wanted to do it. But it was something like that's why I asked you about your definition of success. This for me is a success because it's something that I thought about, that I prayed about, that I invested in, and something that I've been able to do consistently. So for me, it's a success. And I'm getting to have conversations like with people like yourself, man, because I work with juvenile teenage boys. So like you can imagine the conversations that, I'm subject to all day. So
it's amazing. I used to work with students. I used to be ISS, in school suspension.
Suspension, yep.
And I worked with students all the time at that time. And everybody, well, you get all the bad kids. I was like, they're not bad, but you don't know what they go through at home. And when they going through so much at home, they don't have an outlet.
Right.
So where does it normally get released? When they get to school.
Yeah.
Because now you bringing all these different personalities that's all going through some individually, and you put them all together, of course. And some can handle it better than others.
Right.
But to go back what you said, imagining the conversations you have, we have to normalize. And I'll say this, as adults across the board we do, but especially in the Black community. We have to normalize being okay with meeting these kids where they at.
Right.
Because, okay, we can definitely say, hey, don't do drugs. Hey,
Mhm.
don't be out here gangbanging. Don't be
Mhm.
out here fighting and wilding out. Don't be out here giving your body away just because
Right.
you can. There's other avenues. But it's always don't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never, here's an alternate.
Right.
Here's a better way.
And even like you said, like with the conversation, like I know for adults, our knee-jerk response when we hear something that we feel is not appropriate or disrespectful, like since like cursing.
Mm-mm.
If the kids start talking, you're like, this boo boo, and it's like, as an adult, sometimes I have to catch myself, like don't tune out, don't turn it off. Let them get out his thought,
Mhm.
and then then you can redirect them, but let them get it out. So I had to
Right.
learn that over the years, like because when we were small, like we were taught like language was important, but if you got the parents, talking just like they talk to each other that way, it's
Right.
like how you going, that child is having a conversation with you, you might not like how it sounds, but that's the everyday language.
Right. I had 2 rules that I gave no matter what. And I adjusted for each student, but 2 main rules that everyone. The first rule was how you act dictates how I act.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2 was when you come across that door, I don't care what happened outside of this room. When you come to this door, you get a fresh slate with me.
Okay.
So when they start wilding out in the classroom with me, I'm like, okay, I'm not about to be yelling and arguing with you. I don't do
Mhm.
that with my own children. So I'm not about to do that with somebody else's child. But like you said, let them get it out. Then when they calm down, can I do this, Mr. Lee? No. Well, why not? Well, when I asked you to sit down and relax,
Right.
you didn't want to do nothing for me. So what currency do you have to get anything to get
Mhm.
what you want when I couldn't even get you to sit down for me? I didn't even tell you to be quiet. I just wanted you to sit down.
Right.
And you know how when we were kids, we had to turn the lights off and that's quiet time.
Right.
So I used to do lights out.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the teachers like, why is no lights on here? I was like, they haven't earned their lights today.
Mm.
What you mean? I was like, they have to earn their lights. How they gonna do their work? They don't care about that. So they don't want to put the work in to get things. So they have to earn their lights. They have to earn being able to have a free time. And of course, ISS is in school suspension, so it ain't supposed for them to kick it.
Right.
No, they're not there to kick it and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not here to be a slave driver and yelling at them all day.
Mm-hmm.
And working with those children kind of helped me better understand how to deal with the different personalities you have coming on set when you're a director. Because now you don't know what this actor has been through.
Right.
You don't know what process they had, what depths they had to dig into to be these characters,
Right.
good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this DP went through before he came on set today. I don't know what my what my lighting guy went through before he came on set.
Right.
So you have to approach everyone with the difference of, okay, it is my vision, it's my story, but I also have to be mindful of everybody's going through something.
For sure.
And you don't know what mood they're gonna be in on the day of.
100%. Yeah.
We all hope that everybody gonna come in and be professional and put their focus on getting the job done. But reality is not everybody can pull that off as easy. So if I'm yelling, cut, why can't you get this right? Why you ain't doing, I need it like this. Why this light ain't moving over here? Or why this camera ain't going? If I'm yelling and coming at people, I might be the one that set this person off.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
might trigger them. Yeah.
so, hey, everybody, let's take 5, reset, and go through. Come here, holler at me real quick.
Yeah.
You all right?
Good.
What's
Yeah,
anything,
for sure.
anything I can do to help? Was like, yeah, I'm going through something. I was like, all right, for this scene, I need you to cry. So channel that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever anger or frustration you have, use that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Or lighting guy, hey, what's going on? I just need to man, I just can't. No worries. Let me do this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you how I want it done. Then the next round, you can take care of it. But you take 5 and clear your head, take a deep breath, come back.
For sure.
So you have to learn how to, and that goes back to the scene the set management that you talked about.
Yeah.
You have to know as a director, you have to know a little bit of everything to be able to run a set.
Right.
But it's not for you to do everything. But you also have to know how to pay attention to people's moods and how they move.
You gotta have that emotional intelligence as well as the IQ to get the job done.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So man, this I could talk to you all day, probably, man. I'm not gonna even front because the stuff that you talk about, it fascinates me just to hear about somebody's process and how they get to where they are. And I see you on social media and I follow you, and like I say, like a lot of stuff you do just is inspiring to me. But
Thank you.
this is a 2 cups cafe, so it's one for the wake, one for the work. So the first cup is, what's waking you up, what's inspiring you, what are you dreaming about, and then the second one is, what are some next steps, or what are some things that you got coming up.
Okay. For the first one, my family wakes me up every day. I have 4 kids,
Man.
3 sons and a girl.
Okay.
She's the youngest, and waking up and saying, I can't give up because I can't ask them to keep pushing forward if I give up. I have to keep pushing.
Yes, sir.
With my daughter, talented, does some everything. Some of the stuff I don't know where she got it from. She just does it. Like she crochets like crazy.
Yeah.
She draws. She dances. She sings when she wants to, if as long as ain't nobody looking. My youngest son, great graphic designer.
Okay.
At 17,
Yeah.
great graphic designer. My second oldest son, he's a producer. He produces music and licensing music on YouTube and everything. And him and my youngest son rap as well. So they're great songwriters.
Yeah.
My oldest son, he does T-shirts.
Okay.
And is great at it.
Yeah.
And was a great athlete too. So they all, seeing them come into who they are individually, feeds me on I can't give up.
Yeah.
And then my wife, she's been my biggest cheerleader, but also my biggest drill sergeant.
Okay.
Because she won't let me give up.
Right.
Oh, so you ain't? Did you write something today? Did you edit something today? Well, why didn't you?
Right.
It goes back to that original conversation where she eliminated excuses.
Eliminate the excuses. Yeah.
And so making sure I do what I need to do to make sure I'm there and getting them where I want them to be and where they need to be is what wakes me up.
Okay.
As far as what I'm working on now, it's a few things. We're actually getting ready to reshoot Intervention.
Okay.
Which is my 4th film. Didn't complete it the first time. This time, better prepared, better headspace.
Okay.
So that's coming up in a couple of months. We're going to be reshooting that.
Do you original cast or you get some additions?
That's what we're waiting to hear back.
Okay.
We're working on making sure we can get who we can get to come back and who we may have to recast.
Okay.
Still working through that. That's all the pre-production process, and that's a process within itself. Because the availability that a lot of people had and the freedoms had, like we have one actor that he may be willing to do it, but he may not be able to because now he's SAG.
Okay.
So that's why I say we can't really say who's all going to come back yet, because I have to make sure if they do come back, how would it affect them being a SAG, and what do I have to do to make sure I'm within the guidelines of the union,
right,
to be able to have a SAG actor.
Okay.
So there's a Intervention is what we're working on. I also have a few scripts that I'm working on.
Okay.
So I have a lot to keep me busy.
Yeah, sound like
but I'm learning to slow down and not spread myself too thin.
Okay.
And that's my focus. That's my goal, is to get this next project done, get that edited. I got another short that's going to be released soon that's going to feed into the Intervention film.
Okay.
And just stay focused and stay driven.
Yeah.
that's the work I'm into right now.
Sounds great, man. I'm looking forward to your new work. And could you tell my listeners and my viewers like how they could follow you or see some of your projects?
Okay. Of course, go to Tubi. Look up Under. UNDER, Under. You find it on Tubi. You do a search, you'll find it. If you want to see any of the web series or any of the shorts, you can definitely go to our YouTube channel, which is Prime 8 Vision. All one word, Prime, the number 8, and Vision. And that's our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X. All under that same tag. Even the YouTube is all under Prime 8 Vision. You'll find everything from there. Definitely gonna be posting more stuff, letting everybody know where we're at, and keeping the content flowing.
Yep. Like you said, that's a job within itself, getting everything out there. But man, I just enjoy our conversation, man. Once again,
Same here.
Thank you for coming out, sharing this time with me, man. I definitely learned a lot, from you today, and I'm sure that my viewers and listeners have as well. As always, man, just like, subscribe, share the page. We're available on everywhere the podcasts are available, and we're also on YouTube. Until next time, man, 2 cups.